All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today for our GPS 100 series. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us this morning. If you haven't done so already, please rename yourself by adding your institution to your name. When we go into the breakout sessions for the second part of this presentation, it'll make it easier to figure out what rooms we need and how many. Again, thank you for being here. My name is Jairo McMeekin. My pronouns are we, he, him, and his, and I currently serve in a dual capacity. I work as the Dean of Access and Services at Central Carolina Community College, and the other half, I get the esteemed pleasure to work under our Executive Director, Dolores Ali, as the Director of Equity and Pathways, and I'll let her, if she wants to say something, and then we'll get back to it, okay?
Yes, good morning, Jairo, and I do want to say welcome to everyone to the Student Success Center's third workshop for our Spring 22 Guided Pathways Series 100, also known as GPS 100. Before our speaker starts, I just want to share some thoughts with you, and that's about students. We know that students enroll in a course or a program due to visions of what they're thinking that will happen for them upon completion of a course or graduation from a program. These visions are converted to plans that provide formation for the students' experiences on the respective campuses. But today, being here as faculty and staff educators, we are part of the plan of the students' journey from their vision to the career or to work. So I'm looking forward to this workshop helping us to reflect or to learn about opportunities to support students with maximizing on their resources of time and money. And I've read that in Mr. Johnson's description about what we'll get out of this in reference to helping students maximizing on their resources. As the Executive Director of the Student Success Center, I am honored to be participating in today's workshop with my colleagues across North Carolina, representing the great 58 community colleges, our presenter, Mr. William Johnson, and the Center's Director of Equity and Guided Pathways for the Center, Jairo McMeekin, who coordinated this spring's GPS 100 series. There are many who are responsible for today's event, but to be mindful of time, I just want to say thank you to the system office staff, the Student Success Center's Advisory Board, Central Carolina Community College, and Gracie Davis for her attention on coordinating the logistics for the series. Thank you all for the opportunity to bring greetings. And
you know what you wanted to say?
over to you.
You have no idea. I've got the.
Okay. Go ahead, sorry.
Thank you, Jairo.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. If you haven't done so, if you don't mind muting yourself until you have it, and so Bill's going to make this very engaging, and he may ask some questions and things like that. Feel free to unmute yourself at those points. Also use the reaction feature to raise your hand if you have a question, anything like that, because I know normally how he presents is he wants people to like be engaged and offer feedback and things of that nature. So if you haven't done so, go ahead and mute yourself. Also, for those of you that are just joining, please go ahead and add your institutional organization to your name. So rename yourself. So that way we know for the second part, the breakout rooms, what we need. So please, if you don't know how to do that, if you go to your thumbnail, the 3 dots in the right top corner, click on that. It'll allow you to rename yourself. Just add your institution to the back of that, okay? And we greatly appreciate that. So with that being said, I can go into an extensive bio for Bill and just really go over. I'm not going to, do that. I'm telling you, he's the guy. I was really excited that he agreed to do this. If you've never heard him speak, you're in for a treat. If you have, you already know what's going to happen. So, and again, this is really for our students, but actually there's going to be a lot of information that you're going to be able to use for yourself. I know I do every time he speaks and shares everything he shares. This is being recorded, so it will be sent out to everybody that registered. Gracie does an amazing job of usually getting that out right after the presentation. Any resources that Bill decides to share as well, we'll go ahead and attach those to the record with that email message with the recording, and you'll get all of that, okay? So then that way, if you hear something, you want to go back to it, you'll be able to do that. I know there's going to be a lot of stuff you're going to want to do that with, so that's what we'll get to. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Bill. I'll be sitting in the background. If y'all have any questions, feel free to either use the chat, raise your hand feature, and we'll just follow what he has to go through. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jairo, and thank you. I'm very humbled to be here. This is an honor. So I'm going to do 2 things. First, you need something to write with. and something to write on, because this is not going to be me talking for, till 10:30. This is the active, engaged activity. We'll be doing 2 in this session. The other thing that I've done, and I'm going to share my screen. If you want to follow along, if you go to this website, thedreamteam.com, and click on the resource page, and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll actually find the presentation. I actually have the presentation slides on this website. So if you want to follow along, if you scroll down, literally it's all the way down to the bottom. There's the 2022 North Carolina Community College presentation and Guided Pathways 2.0 presentation slides. If you click on that, you'll get the PDF for the slides if you want to follow along. So I wanted to make sure you had that. And there's actually going to be 2 templates that I'm going to show as examples that we're going to use. So everything's there. So you don't have to wait. It's there for you. Okay. So I wanted to make sure you had that. So let's get on with the presentation. So again, my name is Bill Johnson. And this is going to be a little bit of a different presentation. Because one of the things, well, there's a lot of interesting things about this presentation. You can see pathway selection, build on experience, explore career options, connect with work. So as you'll see at the bottom, right now I serve as a student success navigator, instructor, lifestyle catalyst coach at UNCG, but I'm retiring on June 30th, 2022. So that I can actually start a new position as the coordinator of the Legacy Men of Color program at Davidson-Davie Community College in July. So I'm very excited to transition and do this new chapter. So I wanted to kind of put that out there that I'll be working in the community college system in 5 months. So I'm very, very excited about that opportunity. So I just wanted to kind of share that. So let's start with the presentation. Okay, so maybe we'll start with, there we go. So I'm going to start with a quote, and this is actually something that I use in my class. So it's called Run Your Own Race, which is what this whole presentation is about. The lesson that I've embraced over the past decade of life and work is a simple one. Because of unique passions, skills, experiences, opportunities, each of us has a unique race to run. It's ours alone and cannot be compared to the race being run by others. When we allow the stigma of judgment, comparison, or envy to tempt us off course, we violate the fullness of the contribution of which we are capable. We exhaust ourselves chasing ghost runners and phantom success. We lose sight of the end goal, and in turn, we lose sight of ourselves. Pursue uniqueness with your voice, run your race, execute your plan, do your work, not someone else's. Don't allow envy, spite, ego, or greed to derail you or cause you to chase a phantom idea that was never meant for you. You have a valuable contribution to make in the arena of your influence that you've been given and a unique voice to offer the world. But if you are not diligent, you may wind up gaining quick ground in the short term only to watch the pack pass you a few miles down the road. So I wanted to share that because this really is about helping people, and I'll say students, young and old, run their own race. So I wanted to kind of use that as kind of the introduction and the background to what we're going to cover today. Okay, so here's the agenda, and you could see there's the description, but we're actually going to focus on basically 2 parts. Part 1 is your work, and your institution. So the first part is, how does what we're talking about fit with you and your work in your institution? And the second part, and you're going to actually do an activity. And this part 2 is your work and your students. And then you're going to do another activity. So basically you're going to do 2 activities, but one is focused on the work and the institution. The other is about the students. And then we're going to wrap it up. So that's what we're going to cover for today. Okay. So, and again, stop me if you have any questions. Go ahead and unmute and throw yourself out there and let me know if you have any questions. So I'm going to start us off with part 1. So the question I would ask you is, why are your students coming to your college? And on a grander scale, what are you here to do? What is your institution here to do? And if you want to post your answer in the chat box, you can. But I'd be curious to hear what your responses are, especially to the first question. Because as you'll see as we go through this presentation, this is one of the questions I ask students all the time. Why are you here at our institution? So that's one of the things. And you don't, like I said, if you want to post your response in the chat box, you can, but I want you to think about these two questions as we go through this presentation today. Okay. All right. So the numbers. So I'm big into numbers, and I wanted to share these numbers because this is total enrollment the past 3 years within the North Carolina Community College system. So you can see 2018, 2019, 668,120, 2019, 2020, 640, 370. And then COVID hits, the numbers drop down to 525, 536. And then I literally just read an article last night that said enrollment's up about 2%. So, which is about another 10, 12,000 students, but it's not close to where you were 3 years ago. And what's happening is it's not just happening in the community college system, it's also happened at the four-year system. And I think I read an article, there's about 3 million less students going to college now than there was last year. So it's really interesting that the numbers are dropping off. And what I've been trying to do is find out why. Why are the numbers dropping off? And that's what the first half of this presentation is going to address, is why I think those numbers are dropping off. So this past fall, I decided to do this survey. So I asked our students, what do you want from college? What do you hope to get from college? And you could see, so 313 responses. Number one, make sure I have a good job after I graduate. But the job thing was only 43%, which I thought was interesting. I want to get a college degree, only 40%. But you'll see in the bold, I want to learn and grow. I want to figure out what I want to do with my life. I want to find purpose. I want to help people. I want to find the right major career. When you add those up, about 70% wanted help figuring out what they want to do with their life. It was actually 73%. So at least 73% wants help figuring out what to do. But if you notice, getting a job, getting a degree was less than 50%. So if you think about what the institution is saying, the institution is saying students want to get a degree so they can get a job, but the students aren't saying that. So that's why I think there's this really interesting thing that's happening, which we'll talk about in a second. So then I follow this up. This is at the first week of class, okay? 5 weeks down, we talk about 6 weeks, we talk about values, what matters. And what you'll see, what matters to students, number one, being healthy, being happy is number two, connecting, spending time with family, getting my degree, being successful. So those are the top 5 responses. And I wondered, those are before COVID, what would happen after COVID? And essentially, it's the same 5 things. Different order, slightly different order, but it's the same 5 things. So it's interesting how, again, if you notice about getting a degree and getting a job, getting a degree, 48%, and then getting a job, 23%. So there's this disconnect. And what I'm going to argue is, let's figure out why there's a disconnect. All right, so that's the data. So I would say students, what they really need is, I need help figuring out what I want to do. What should I do with my life? Now this semester, I'm teaching 3 different classes in the spring, so students would have already been there. But I have a mixture of both freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And literally even the seniors are saying, well, I'm graduating. I need help figuring out what I want to do now. So they're graduating and they still are asking this question. So freshmen are asking these questions, and now seniors that are finishing are asking the same question. This is like figuring out life 2.0. So 1.0 is figuring out what you should do as a major in college, and then 2.0 is what should I do after. All right, so my hypothesis, guided pathways 2.0 is driven by students, not by institutions. Our institutions is creating some form of guided pathways, but it's basically saying pick this area and you should pursue this area. But what I'm finding is students actually want to pursue lots of different areas. And I'm going to show you how we take care of that in a second. So I'm sharing this piece. I just finished an article called Transactional versus Transformational Advising. And one of the things that's really interesting, I've noticed, and this is happening at our institution and other institutions, they're investing a lot of money in getting people to help students register for classes. And there's more people trying to get more people to help students register for classes, but it's not moving the needle on getting them to come. So you could hire more advisors to do traditional advising, but it's not going to get them excited about coming to college. What gets them excited to come to college is the transformational piece, which is really help me figure out what I want to do, help me create a plan for where I want to go, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to talk about more of that in a second. But I would argue that transformational work is much more necessary now than transactional work. And we need to invest in more of the transformational work. All right, so Crossroad Questions. So this is why I do what I do. Students are asking, what should I do with my life? So that's the internal question they're asking themselves. And then I don't know if you've gotten this when you were younger. I know I got it when I was younger. And I've tried to avoid asking my daughters this question. But the question is, what are you going to do with your life? So it's like, you're asking yourself that question and people around you are asking you, what are you going to do? And it's like, I don't know. I have no idea. Let me figure it out. Or they'll just say, I'm going to be a doctor, lawyer, and do the things that people say are the things they want to do. So what we need to do is help students transform their lives. And what you'll see is they're in a state right now, and I would even argue even more when they come to community college. They're in this state, this is where they are, and they want to get to this other thing. And the other thing is a better version of themselves. They just don't know what that looks like. And our role is to help them get to where they want to be. And some of them need more help than others. So we've put a lot of investment in, remedial work and tutoring and all this other stuff. We put almost no help in figuring out where they want to go with their life and creating a plan. So Guided Pathways 2.0 is helping them create that plan. All right. So if you asked me to create a website for your institution, whether it's student success or for it as a whole, I went through a lot of the school's websites, and most of them are about, take these classes, get this degree, we can help you get your degree, et cetera, et cetera. And I would start off with, how do you answer the questions? What should I do with my life? Or what are you going to do with your life? And then don't know, we can help create a plan for a better life, better future. And a better life and a better you. So to me, that's what every website should show, especially those with student success. Focus on the student being the hero and the institution being the guide in that journey, versus a lot of institutions showing we've got this award, we've done this, we've got this, we have this many students graduate, we have this many students. Students don't care. They want help with these two questions. So that's what I would do if I actually was running my own institution, and I would put this front and center. Okay. So the research I'm doing says students seek two things: aspirational identity and a better life. The aspirational identity is how they see themselves and how others see them. And then the other part is they want a better life for themselves and their families and a better life than their friends. And if you ask the why deep enough, you'll actually get to these answers. So a lot of times in coaching, they'll talk about you should ask at least 5 whys. So I spent this semester asking these why questions to the students. And the bottom line is, I just want to see myself better. I want others to see me a certain way, and I want a better life. So the job, whether it's a job, starting their own business, but they want a better life for their family, and they want a better life than their friends have. So it's that comparison thing, which is interesting. So that's what students are saying if you dig down deeper, okay? But this is what's holding them back. And it's, can I do this? Do I have what it takes, whether it's completing a degree or anything else? And then what if I make the wrong choice? What if I fail? And this is what's keeping them from moving forward. They're kind of stuck. So our hope is that by doing certain activities, it'll minimize their fear of failure and making the wrong choice, because it actually will be something that actually matters, and they'll have the confidence to be able to do it. So I'm going to have you participate in activity. So this is new. So if you've ever seen me do a presentation, I've never done this before. So you all get to do it for the first time, but it's this thing called a student success one-liner. So what you're going to do is actually create a statement that defines what student success means for you. And if you want, you could even do it for your team, but I would start with you, okay? So your student success one-liners answers the question, what do you do? And you can do this for you, you can do this for your department, you can do this for your institution. But what do you do? So that's what you're going to answer, okay? So your one-liner is going to consist of 4 parts. Who is your customer? And I would even be more specific than just student. It might be a particular population of students.
Thank you.
The second part, a second is, what is their problem? Okay. Third, what is your plan to help them? What is your solution? And the fourth is, what will their life look like after you do what you do? So after you help them, this is what their life's going to look like. Okay. So you're going to create this one-liner, and I'll show you how you're going to do it in a second. So this is the statement. So you're going to see, you're going to write down your 4 things: the character, who is your customer, what is their problem, what is your plan to help them, what will that life look like? Okay. So I want to give you an example. So I'll show you examples and I'll go back. So I wrote this, I did this myself. And here's what I came up with. So there we go. Most students and people at a crossroads in life, that's the character, want help answering the questions, what should I do with my life? And what are you going to do with your life? That's the problem. We provide courses and workshops to empower them to create meaningful educational, career, and life plans. That's the plan that lead to happy, healthy, and successful lives now and in the future. And that's the success. So that's the statement I created on what I do. So that's from the student's perspective. From the educator perspective, most faculty and staff in higher education, the character, want help motivating students to value their education. The problem. We provide life design catalyst trainings and workshops to provide the tools and resources, the plan, so that they can help students get excited about college, their lives, and their future. So that's what I do. So I work with students, and I also work with faculty and staff. So what I want you to do is create your one-liner. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. So even if you don't come up with your statement, don't worry about it, but take about 5 minutes. It's about 9:24. So I'll say, let's do till 9:30. What I'd like for you to do, who is your character? Who is your customer? What is their problem? What is your plan to help them? What will their life look like after you do what you do? And if you can, post it in the chat box, what your statement looks like, if you're willing to be bold and put it out there. So about 5 minutes and change. Who is your customer? What is their problem? What is your plan to help them? What is your solution? And then what will life look like after you do what you do? And if you have any questions, go ahead and unmute. Hey, I know. Good dog.
Bridget, did you have a question?
I did not.
Okay, all right.
And just so you know, on the screen is the way to write your sentence. So most blank need help with blank. I provide, offer blank, so that blank. So that might make it easier for you to construct your statement. Okay, you have 1 more minute. All right, so I see there's a few statements. Very good job. This is awesome. And I want you to think about this as we continue through the conversations and the work that we're going to do. Now, I will also share with you, and I don't know, I'm actually reading this book, and it's called Building a Story Brand, Clarify Your Message So Customers Will Listen. And it literally is how to market what you do through story. So it's a really interesting read on how to help you write the story and how you work with others. So it's really getting me clear about where I'm taking the Life Design Catalyst work in my next chapter. So if you want it, you might want to check it out, Building a Story Brand, and it's by Donald Miller, if you want to check that out. All right, so I'm going to go keep posting. Thank you for those who have posted. It's great. So this is great. All right, so let's keep going. All right, so you saw that. Again, the whole point of this session is students / people want to create a better version of themselves. That's ultimately what our students and what people who come to our institutions want. Okay, and it's up to us to help them define that. Okay, so when I ask what does success look like for your students, I put this little chart together just as kind of a humorous way to look at it. So before they see you, before they come to your institution, they lack clarity and direction, no idea what they want to do, lack confidence in the self, no plan for the present or future. And then after they meet with you and your institution, hopefully, they find clarity and direction. They have ideas for what they want to do and how they can do it. They increase their confidence, plan for their present and future, status of being a college graduate. Believe it or not, that's actually something that matters. And then a feeling of self-acceptance. So this is the before and after. So our hope is that they can get a lot of the after by working with us. Okay. So that's the part one. Okay. So that's what you do and what your institution does. And that's what I wanted you to think about is how do you do what you do? The second part is now how you work with the students and the gist of why we do what we do and coming up with some of the plans on how to help them get there. Okay. And I've done parts of this before, but this one will be a little bit different because I actually created 2 new tools from this statement. So I'm going to go through. So with the students, focus on 2 questions. Whom must I fearlessly become? What is life and the world asking of me? So it's how do I become a better me in service of something bigger than myself? This is the whole thing about purpose. So this is why I do what I do. It's purpose exploration. Okay. Now I want to show this because this has always presented some really interesting conversations, because when you think about college, we say college is the means to get to a better life. And the way to get a better life is so you go to college, get a degree to get a job. But what's interesting is you get a job, but if you notice, only 36% of people are engaged in their jobs. So 64% are either not engaged or actively disengaged in their work. And not engaged could mean I show up, I do my job, but then you go home and you leave. You go, and that's it. You leave and you go home, and then that's it. So, but if something tempting comes your way, you're more likely to take it. If you're engaged in your work, you're more likely to stay because you really love what you're doing and you're engaged in the community. So, and then of course, actively disengaged is you're doing anything you can to make things worse. So hopefully none of you are in that boat. That's my hope. But 64% of people are either not engaged or actively disengaged. And we're saying you have to get a job to be successful, but they're not liking what they're doing. So there's some disconnects here, okay? But I also wanted to share this piece because COVID has redefined what work means. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the term Great Resignation, but a lot of people have left jobs. And it's, I think since the middle of August of 2020, about 20 to 22 million people have left their jobs, either to find something else or start their own thing. So this whole entrepreneurship thing is something we have to think about. So I wanted to share some of the data about that and more of, so right now, as of last 2020, 40% of working population independent workers, I think it's about 45% now of our independent workers, meaning people are doing their own thing. So 40% of working people are doing their own thing. They predict between 50 and 80% of the working population will be independent workers by 2030. So we're prepping students for jobs where in 8 years, that job might not be there. So they have to learn the skills to not only create their own, to get a job, but they might have to create what their job looks like. So we have to actually help them do both. And then as a side note, 43% of the working population have side hustles. And I share that because one of the things that I do is teach a course called Side Hustle 101, where I'm teaching undergraduate students how to create a side hustle in a half a semester, or well, basically in a half a semester. Because they have to look at that as a means of earning income in case they don't get a job. Okay, so that's what the data shows about where the working economy is going. Okay, now the work that I do is focus on purpose, meaning, mission, vision, and hope. Purpose is the big one. So basically, be a better version of yourself and service something bigger than yourself. And then meaning, that the work matters. Mission, what are you here to do? Vision, create a vision for create what you want your future to look like, and hope. That your future can be better than the present. So everything that I'm going to talk about from now till for the next 35 minutes is focused on these pieces: purpose, meaning, mission, vision, and hope. Okay. So simple rules for success. So someone asked me, because I'm actually doing I have a class that I'm pitching this work to. So there's a class out there, they want to do a pitch for life design catalyst work. So they're like, so what's the essence of your work? And I say, it's 3 things: know yourself, serve family, find your right pond. So in the courses that we teach, what we teach, of course, what could I do with my life? It's success in work. Redesign a life you'll love, which is actually going to be called Build a Better You, is success with yourself. And inside Hustle 101 is success in business. So that's the sequence. So basically, it's know yourself, serve your family, find your right pond in those 3 areas. But the big part is knowing yourself. Okay. So here's how we do it. And I'm going to show you one example. And this is the class where we have most of our students take. So it's called, What Could I Do with My Life? Why we don't offer that throughout every institution in this country is beyond me, because that's the question most people are asking. What could I do with my life? What should I do with my life? So we take it in two perspectives, knowing yourself and then finally finding your right pond. And I'm going to show you how we do both in a second. So the know yourself. So one of the things that I've done is create this thing called a character resume. So imagine when you apply for a job, you have a resume and it's all about your work experience. What if you could create a resume that's about you and what you offer, what you value, what matters to you? So I'm going to stop the share and actually share this thing. So let me do this. So this is what it looks like. Character resume template. All right. So, and if you're interested, so let me know, because I'm actually doing a So basically it's this thing I'm doing on my blog. I blog, and I have about 150 people creating their own character resume across the world. So 150 people are saying, I want to create this character resume. So you could see the template. It's, character resume, your name, contact information, character summary, which I'll show you an example. And then we do personality type. So we do Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, Big Five. And I also do some parts of Holland Code, depending on what mood I'm in during the semester. And then strengths, we do via character strengths, Gallup strengths, and this thing called Principles U. And then your values, personal core, desired work, lifestyle values, motivations, personal motivations, workplace identity, workplace motivators, your personal superpower, 7-word life motto. Okay. So you're going to create this two-page resume that looks like this. So here's mine. You can see my picture. You can see my character resume. You can see my contact information. Put to the character summary. So this is a summary of all these things about me. Creative thinker who thrives in autonomous work environments, driven by personal core values, et cetera, et cetera. But what you'll see are all these things. So Myers-Briggs, you'll see my 4-letter code and the characteristics. You'll see my Enneagram number, which is type 8, and in characteristics. And I have Holland for this one. You'll see my 3 primary in creating, and then the characteristics. If you want to know my character strengths, here are my top 6. Gallup strengths, my top 6. Principles U is a newer assessment. It's actually one of my favorites, but you'll see how I prefer to think. So I have my archetypes: shaper, inventor, inspire. And you could go to each site and look more. Like I have each blog about each one with more in depth. But what you're doing is giving insights about who you are. So the second page are my values. So what matters to me, personal core values, desired work values, and then lifestyle values. And what you'll see here, my #1 lifestyle value is prefer warm weather climate. And I share that because there's no way I'm ever going to take a job north. I have turned down possibilities in Wisconsin, Michigan, because I'm like, I hate snow. I don't like cold weather. I don't like snow. So these are the things that matter. So think about your core values, your values. These are the things that matter to you. And then you can see my motivations, personal motivations, workplace motivations, and then your superpowers. And what you'll get is this synopsis of who you are. So if you go on an interview and they say, tell me about yourself, you literally have this picture of who you are. So it won't be a hard question. So you go for graduate school, same thing. You have a synopsis of who you are and what matters to you. So imagine if all our students, young people, or students in general, have a resume that says, this is who I am, this is what I'm all about. And if you want to know if this works, in my side hustle class, I had the students create a character resume. There's 18 students in the class. 3 of them have already used it, 2 for job interviews, 1 for an internship interview. Every employer has said, we wish every one of the students could create something like this. And all 3 got hired, 2 for their jobs, 1 for their internship. So this is one of those pieces that could be a game changer for people. So if you don't have one, you might want to consider creating one. And again, I have the template in the site. So you might want to check that out. Okay. So any questions about that? All right. So that's the first piece. So that's the know yourself piece. Now, let's focus on the find your right pond. So here, this is brand new. So this is a portfolio life worksheet. Okay. So I'm going to stop the share and share that one because this is newer. The portfolio life activity is focused on, most people say, when I work, I'm going to do this specific job. And that's all I'm capable of doing. The portfolio life is actually a way to look at your life as a whole, because there's lots of pieces to it that make you who you are. So a portfolio life, and you'll see here, there's different components to it. So what you'll see, there's actually 8 components to it. So your personal characteristics, which is basically what we talked about in the know yourself, and then your education knowledge. So what learning have you had that made a difference for you? And we always look at learning as college or school. But people learn the same amount, if not more, outside of college. Lifelong experience is outside of college. So if you think about stuff that happens outside the learning, let's look at the experiences outside of that. And then talents, gifts, skills, and abilities, the thing that you do well. Interest. What do you have an interest in? What's fun? I actually put interest in play because sometimes your play matters. Personal life experiences, the roles you play in at home, and I'll put home in quotes, and then work experiences, times when you've worked for pay, hourly, salary, or contractual, volunteer experiences, and recognition achievements. You have this portfolio of things you've done. You'll notice there'll be a pattern, just like with the character resume. In terms of your character, with your portfolio, you'll notice a pattern around your portfolio of things that you can do. So when you go down, again, I use an example because I put together. So you'll see my personal characteristics, education, knowledge. So schooling. So when I shared this with my students, they're like, where'd you get your degree? Oh, where'd you get your degree? And I said, Parks and Recreation was my bachelor's and physical education is my master's. And they're like, that has nothing to do with what you're doing. I said, I learned to be educable. So I got a degree because that means I could persist. But most of the reasons why I get hired is stuff outside. So life coach trainings. So I have certifications in dream coaching, spiritual group coaching, wellness coaching, purpose coaching, life coaching. So there's these different things I'm doing outside. I've done webinars and I've created webinars, done webinars, and participated webinars on personal development, life planning, webinars on entrepreneurship, student success. Read, if you see here, I got books galore. I try to read at least a book a week, if not 2. And then my other side thing is sports. I love sports. So, that's where some of my knowledge and education comes from. Talents and gifts. You can see there's different things that I do in that area. Interest and play, reading, sports card. I mean, you'll see lots of different things in terms of interest and play. And then life. So my life experiences, husband, father, friend, basic, very basic handyman, dog walker. My dog's right here hanging out. So cook, house cleaner, laundry guy. So that's what I do when I'm home. And then work experience. And you can see there's a host of different work experiences I've had. And then volunteer experiences, a lot of it's tied to education and health, and then recognition. So what you'll notice is this theme around the stuff that you do. So this is creating this portfolio of these experiences and this knowledge that you have. So it might be something you might want to check out. I'll actually have my students doing it in class next week, so I can get some feedback on this activity. But it really is putting together this portfolio of stuff. Okay. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and feel free to share or ask. Because again, there's a lot of new stuff that I'm creating, and it really is diving deeper to what students want to do. Questions, comments, thoughts? All right.
Well, Bill,
go ahead.
I
Sorry.
say, let me jump in here, man.
Yeah.
Because you know I love you, right? You do. Right? Okay. Because again, even for myself, I need to do this, right? Because I'm sitting here thinking like, man, I've never like thought that deeply. You know, you think about these things, and you know, I have this whole thing with metacognition. Like, I'm thinking about my thinking and stuff like that. But to really put that down, I think it's the difference maker. Like you put it like on paper or, you know, on a screen or something like that, and just really like look at it, you know, holistically, I think it's just really important. And so I'm gonna tell you right now, something I'm struggling with right now is even the design of, you know, ACA 122 is, you know, part, you know, understanding yourself, but part learning, you know, studying, but then also part just learning how to transfer. And I'm sitting here looking like, should it really be about finding people's why? And I go back to Viktor Frankl, where it's like, you know, if you understand your why, you'll always figure out a how. And so I think that's what this does. And as I think about guided pathways and how we keep students engaged and everything, it's like, I just got a bunch of thoughts going through, man. So I really, really, really appreciate you for putting me in this uncomfortable cognitive dissonance that I'm going through right now. And I really appreciate you for that, man. Because I mean, I welcome those experiences. And so it's just, this has like really got me thinking like through a lot of different things. So I at least just want to say, I appreciate you. Okay.
Well, and it's funny because going through it myself really opened my eyes. I mean, it really, like you, it's like, wow, you know, now I understand why I'm where I'm at right now.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, that's interesting. We'll just say it's interesting. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't.
No, you're fine.
That, so
thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You got a lot of comments in the chat. Somebody said I'm using this at home with my children. Somebody else had the same thoughts about ACA. Somebody, I love the tools. Somebody's like, you know, this is fantastic information on so many levels. I mean, you just got a lot of great comments, and I'm guessing that people are enjoying this as well. So yeah,
and it's just a tip, and you know, this is just a tip of the iceberg because I'm only showing you a little piece of something bigger.
Yeah.
So, and we'll talk about it as I go through because I want to make sure I'm cognizant of the time.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a coach and you don't have time, literally you can just start with these questions. So it's basically questions about life. I call them kick-ass questions about life, but it's just 6 questions. And it really is getting students to think in the direction of what do I really want to do? So you can see what challenges have I been able to overcome? What do I find fascinating? What activities allow me to feel most fully alive? What would your 5 closest family members say are your greatest attributes? If you had the opportunity to work with a particular group, who would it be? What's a problem issue in my life that I want to help solve? So these are just general questions just to start the conversations. Now, what's interesting is for each of these questions, I actually have tools. So if you want to take it to a deeper level and take it as a class, you can literally do these as tools. But like I said, if you only have 15 minutes, you might just want to start with these questions. Okay. All right. So now here's part 2 of the activity you're going to do. And again, it'll be a quick activity. Probably take you maybe 10 to 12 minutes to do. But it'll lead to some other things that I want to show you. So get your writing utensil out because you're going to create a mission statement. So the first one was about your work. This one is literally about your mission. And it could be your mission, your department's mission, or your institution's mission. but we do this with the students because we want students to understand how they want to serve. Okay. So I'm going to step you through the process so you can see how we help students define how they want to serve, and then how they create something around it. Okay. So you're going to create this statement. Okay. And it looks like this. Don't worry about writing this down right now, because I'm going to go back to it. But it's a statement saying, I am here to blank, blank, deal with blank so that blank. So that's it. So I am here to, the first blank is do this thing. So what you do, it's a verb. The second blank is who you're going to do it with, who you help. Deal with a problem. So it's similar to what we did before, but this is a specific problem that you want to do with who you serve, so that this happens. And what I've done is create the words that you can use to fill in the blanks. So instead of trying to figure out what things you might want to do, I already have the words for you. So all you have to do is pick from a list. So I'm going to have you go through it really quick, just so you can understand the concept. Again, you already have the slides, so you can go ahead and use the slides, but I at least want you to understand the process on how easy it could be to help students get clear about what they want to do. So again, I'm going to show you for each blank, you're going to see a list of words. So I am here to, so basically what you'll want to do is create a list of action verbs, create a list of groups, create a list of problems, issues, and create an end result. And like I said, so you're just going to use 1 or 2 words for each of the different categories. And I'm going to give you about 1.5 minutes. So don't worry, as long as you can come up with one. I'm setting my timer. That's what I'm doing. So I'm not ignoring you. But I'm going to set my timer. I'm going to give you 1.5 minutes. And even if you just come up with 1 word, let's start with that. Okay. So the first one is going to be a list of verbs. So I am here to blank. Choose 1 or 2 verbs that describe what you want to do. Okay. All right. So here's the first list. Begin. All right, 30 seconds. No barking. No barking. All right. So hopefully you have at least 1 word. And that's going to, I am here to, so now you have your verb. The next one is going to be the group you want to work with. And again, I would limit it to 1 or 2. And if you say college students, you may want to be specific. So transfer students or non-traditional students or returning adult students, if you want to be more specific. So here are the groups. And again, you're going to have 1.5 minutes to choose 1 or 2. So there you go. Go for it. Okay, 30 seconds. All right, so that takes care of our second. So I am here to blank. So you have your verb, blank, you have your population, deal with blank. So this is the problem. So it probably would be similar to what you did earlier. So what's the problem that the group you want to serve is dealing with? Okay. Now, the list that you're going to see is a list of problems that have been found that are global and US issues. What I would ask you to do is when you see the list, you'll see general statements. What you'll want to do is try to be as specific as possible. So for example, here's the list. And you might say, I want to do mental emotional health. You might want to focus on something in particular. If you want quality education issues, you might want to do something more specific. So come up with your general problem or issue. And if you can be more specific, fine. If not, don't worry about it. But the goal would be to be more specific, especially as it works with your with whom group. Okay. So again, you'll have a minute and a half. So come up with your problem or issue. Again, choose one or two and go with that. So what is the problem or issue that you want to solve your particular group? You have 30 seconds. I know. All right. So that's 3. So that's awesome. I'm here to blank, blank, deal with blank. So you have 3 of the components done. Now you're working on the last. And this is, what do you want to see happen? What's the end result? What is the success that the population you want to serve? What's their success for the problem you want to help them with? Okay. So this one, you're going to see several. Again, basically, you're going to choose 1 or 2 that resonate with you as the result. Okay. So here's your list. Again, minute and a half. Go for it. Okay, you have about 30 seconds. All right. So you have the 4 components to create your mission statement. So this is what it's going to look like. So let me give you an example. So if you want to know, so I always use me as an example. So here's my mission statement. I am here to empower, it's my action verb, students, faculty, staff in higher education, and people at crossroads in life, that's my with whom, deal with a lack of clarity and direction in their lives personally and professionally. That's a problem or issue, so that they can create academic, career, and life plans to optimize their lives to become their best selves and serve something bigger than themselves in order to make the world a better place. So this is my mission. And my mission has gone from this is what I do to this is who I am. So if I was out in a bar hanging out with you, we would have conversations around this. How are you serving? How are you becoming a best version of yourself? It wouldn't be how's the weather, how's your job? It's how are you serving? Are you doing things to create the best version of yourself? So I'm going to go through this really quick. So by the way, and this is what I share in my class, here's your mission. If an opportunity is aligned with your statement, it's a hell yes. If not, then it's a hell no. So make sure whatever you decide, it's aligned with this is how you want to serve the world. Okay. So here's the statement. I'm only going to share it briefly because I really want to have so you can have time to meet with your groups. But if you just write down, I am here to blank, blank, deal with blank, so that blank, if you just write that, you can write it as I finish up the presentation. Because I want to leave you about 30 minutes so that you can meet with your groups. But I at least wanted to give you, this is what we have students do. Okay, so I wanted you to understand the process. Now, where do they go with it? So if you remember me talking about hope and vision, what we have them do is say, well, here's my, oh, by the way, who has a question? I see there's a question.
So Demetrius, do you want to unmute yourself? Or use the chat?
Okay. Okay, well, I'll just keep going. And if he wants to unmute, he can. All right. So we have them create a vision. So here's my mission. What do I want this to look like 10 years down the road? So in 10 years, I'll be working as a blank specific role in, at, or through a specific place, helping, serving, providing specific group you'll be helping with something so that this happens. So it's kind of an extension of the mission statement, but looking at it 10 years down the road. Okay. That's funny. So I'm not going to share mine, but I'm going to share one in particular that I thought was really interesting. So last fall, I had a student write, in 10 years, I'll be working as a funeral director and mortician at Smith Funeral Home, helping families coordinate, perform funerals and service for their families members so that they feel more at peace during a grieving time in their lives. Now, if you know anything about UNCG, we don't have a mortician program. So just so you know, we had this student go to a community college to pursue what he really wants to do. Okay, so that to me is he knew this is what how he wanted to spend his time. And he did transfer. He actually is doing a mortician program. I can't remember where he said he went, but that's what he wants to do. So to me, having that vision will help develop the plan on how they want to get there. Okay, so how do we help them get there? That's what's coming. So this is the life's work endeavors. So imagine you have this vision, you have this mission. Now, what are you going to do with it? And what we do is say, you're going to come up with an educational, experiential, employable, entrepreneurial. So you have your mission, you have your vision. What educational things do you need to do to get there? And it could be vocational, technical, associates, bachelor's, master's, professional, could be certification, anything, but basically something education where you learn. Okay, so if you look at your mission, what things do you need to do to move forward? Okay, and those are just some examples. Experiential, what can you do? What action can you take? So are there projects you can do? Are there trainings you can do? Are there activities you can do? Hands-on stuff you can do. So you can see the list here: creative hands-on projects, programs, activities, workshops, trainings, writing projects, research projects, teaching projects, volunteer service projects. What can you do that's moving you towards your mission and your vision? Okay, so that's the experiential piece. The third level are jobs. And this is why I think this work needs to be done in the high schools and the community college. So employable. So look at your mission, look at your vision. What entry-level jobs can you get? Technical jobs, professional jobs, internship, apprenticeships, work shadow, work placements, part-time summer. What kind of jobs can you get that's going to move you in that direction? And what I created, so I work in the healthcare and helping professions. I literally have this sheet that I created that says, if you have a high school degree and you want to do healthcare, helping professions, this is what you can do. If you have a 2-year degree, here's what you can do. If you have a 4-year degree, this is what you can do. If you want something bigger, this is what you can do. So they literally know, here's the job I want to do. Here's the area I want to go into. Here are the educational ways I can do it to get to this level of a job. And I've done that just for healthcare and helping professions. But they can be done in any of these areas. So the students get that list. And then the last piece is entrepreneurial. So look at your mission, look at your vision. Can you create something yourself? So that's the last piece to it. So it's this, so they'll create this plan, this work plan and education plan. So there's the plan. So when you ask me, academic, career, and life plan, here's the plan. So what they'll do, and then this, so any questions about that? Let me say that first. Was there the question in the chat box, or he just didn't decide to, oh, what's the difference between a mission statement and purpose statement? So there is no difference. I just use mission statement because, to be honest with you, people understand mission more than purpose. Purpose is kind of this bigger thing versus a mission saying this is specifically what I'm here to do. So that's why I've created I had it a purpose statement and people just kind of like, eh. So just so you know.
Hi. All right.
Oh, not me. Okay. All right. So what they do with this plan, so now they get to take the plan and do something with it. So what we have them do is share their plan with their team. So we encourage them to create a dream team. So you can see the list here. These are all the different, and this is being modified as we talk. But what we try to do is get them to come up with 5 people to be part of their team that can help them move forward in pursuing their plan. Okay, so that to me takes it to the next level because now they have direction. Who can help me get there? Okay, so I wanted to share that. And then can I be part of an organization that allow me to do it? Okay, so that's the dream communities. And you can see there's a list of different communities. Then they create, so if anybody knows a vision board, so people create a vision board, and a vision board is where do you want your life to look like? I'm not a big fan because a lot of times a vision board is very materialistic, but imagine creating your charter. So I call it a personal charter for your life. This is how I want to live my life. So you look at your characteristics, your team, your communities, your statements, your endeavors, the life's work endeavors, and your motto. And that's your charter. This is how I'm going to live my life. This is how I see it. And they create it as a poster. So instead of a vision board, you create a personal charter board saying, this is how I want to live my life. And it's visual. So it's one thing just to think about it and have it on paper. It's another thing to create a document that you can literally see and present. Okay. And then, so my dream, so I'm going to end there. and then share one last piece. So if I had it my way in a perfect world, so I'm sharing you all this information, and now I'll be working in the community college system. If I had it in a perfect world, three things. And this is my 10-year vision, 5-year vision. Actually, it's my 5-year vision. At least 3 life design counts. So I want to create a studio. So imagine a place where we can have people doing this work all the time. And a community member could come in, or we can go to different places, but we have a place where this work can be done with students and communities. Okay. So I have one in the western part of the state, one in the middle, one in the east. And then at every institution in the North Carolina community, we have one person that can do this work at every institution in the state. I'm not thinking about the 4-year schools. I'm talking about community colleges. Okay. And then specifically to implement this with minority males and returning adults, and have some aspect of this throughout the system. Because I think this is what's going to change the way students look at their education. Because everyone deserves to have a better life. And it doesn't necessarily mean just a college degree. So that's it. Like I said, I wanted to make sure you all had time to meet with your groups. So I'm going to stop the share and see if anybody has any questions, any thoughts. Throw it out there.
And so, Bill, what I would like to do is if we can get folks to go into their breakout rooms for like 15 minutes, sort of like decompress and process this. And I see a hand up, but I'll come back to that. If we can do that. And so the whole purpose of this GPS 100, and the reason that Bill here, the original purpose anyway, was to help our schools that are involved in guided pathways. And guided pathways is nothing more than a framework to help you figure out how to better serve your students and your community. And so you're already doing a lot of the work. It's just a matter of constructing it in a way that streamlines some of the things you're doing and help it and some of the services that you offer and how you're educating folks, and do it in a better way and more efficiently. And so with that being said, that's what we're doing. All of you that registered beforehand, you should have gotten an email with a couple of documents that Gracie sent. And one of them was the action plan template. And so for our schools that are involved in our guided pathways work, this gives you an opportunity to take what Bill has just shared with you and what you have all shared with each other, and then try to, again, start really constructing something and how you apply this to what you're already doing at your school, and then how you could do it better. And so that's what we're going to do with the breakout rooms. We'll send you to your breakout room. I'm gonna open them up. You choose your breakout room. And I did it based off of the names of those colleges. So for those of you that were able to rename yourself and add your institutional organization, you'll be able to, I created a room for that. So you can go into that room. If you're the only person from your institution, or, you may just be maybe 2 of you and y'all would like to still talk to others, feel free to jump into somebody else's room and ask them if it's okay to be there, or go to the singleton room. And so when you open up the rooms, you'll see the first option is a singleton for anybody that's at a community college. Maybe you're here by yourself. Go in there, you can talk to other people in the same situation. I saw a couple of folks here from universities and other organizations. There's actually one for universities. So maybe if you're the only person here from your university, you want to talk to somebody else at another university across the country, you can do that. You could speak with that person in that space. And so what we want to do is give you about 15 minutes to do that. We'll come back, and then any burning questions that you have, feel free to throw them out there. I know some folks got a process, and I get it. So, you may need some more time. That's completely fine. Bill is extremely great about, if you contact him with questions, he loves to engage with folks. And so if he can help you in any kind of way, he will. If you have any questions for anybody else, feel free to contact us, and then we'll try to make sure that we get the answer for you. So before we go to breakout room, Eric, I see you had your hand up. So if you want to ask your question, then we'll send you to breakout rooms. And again, we want you to have those conversations. I'm going to share if you don't have that email, I'll reshare the template for that, the plan that you can work through, because the schools that complete that and turn it into us, I think it's April 10th or April 11th, they open it up so they can get more resources to help them in the work that they're doing. Okay. But Eric, go ahead if you have your question.
Not a question, Bill, I just wanted to share with you, I just learned about this series a few days ago, and I jumped in on this one. And just after listening to you, I was trying to think of a good way to word it. I'm gloriously overwhelmed. You really lit a kind of a rekindling fire for me on how to approach students through my counselor role, and especially career counseling, and just phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, thank you for that, Eric.
Thank you.
So, okay, we'll send you to your breakout rooms, 15 minutes, talk through the template, or just talk about what you are like thinking about right now. And just let's have some conversations. Again, if you're in a room by yourself and you realize that nobody else is coming, feel free to jump to another, ask people if it's okay. I think most people are usually okay, unless they're talking about something private, for you to jump into there. And if they are talking about something, jump into another one, okay? But you have the option to do that. We want some conversations going, and here we go, okay? And they should be in alphabetical order except for those first two, okay? So once you see your school, go ahead and just click, jump into that room, and hopefully you'll have some folks that you can work through on some of this. And then let me post this. Let's see here. Oh my God, what is going on with this thing? Oh, it's currently in use. And if you're having trouble getting into a room, let me know and I can get you into those rooms.
Can you make one for Western Piedmont?
Is there not one down there? Oh,
I didn't see one for Robinson either.
really? I thought I got everybody. Oh, I missed them. If y'all don't mind going into the singletons for me, or there should be, there might be another room that nobody's using that I created it for. And oh my God, I have y'all on my list and I didn't create that. I'm so sorry. Hold on, let me figure this out. All right, let me try to get some people there. And then for those of you that don't see your room, I'm gonna try to see if I can get you into, because sometimes people are in here and then they leave at this point. Sometimes people signed up and then don't go into these rooms. So I'm gonna try to, let me get some folks into some rooms first and then I'll see what I can do for y'all. Ontario, how you doing, brother?
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good to see.
I was just about to send you a message, but I have to hop off. I have a student that's coming in.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Right.
All right, hold on. Let me get some of these people in.
Mr. Johnson, this is JJ. I hope all is well. Hey, Hyro, I threw a question in the chat, but you didn't see it before you sent everybody to breakout rooms. And, really it's about the time and depth it takes to get through this work with students. And I know many of our colleges are trying to do this in like advising sessions or, not semester long coursework or, prolonged engagement. And so what are ways to sort of disarm or, to really get to the depth of conversation that's needed in very short amount of time?
So it's funny you asked that because I've been asked that question. And so it doesn't have to be a semester long course. Why couldn't it be a weekend retreat? Why couldn't it be like I'm doing a half-day session for a church group. And I'm only covering specific pieces. So it doesn't necessarily have to be this long in-depth thing. It could literally just be find your values, find your mission, and then create a plan, and then meet with someone to talk about how you're going to do it. So it could be smaller group things. And instead of looking at it as this big, long thing, just do it as a short thing activity.
Gotcha.
Yep. So
As
great to hear
always-
from you, by the way.
As always, I love your nuggets. I'm sitting here reflecting and taking notes on myself. I actually used your character resume. I downloaded the worksheet. I actually created that as a part of a presentation about myself. So I thought that was unique. And another question that, I'm sort of reflecting on personally is, because of our system leadership program, many of these assessments have, financial barriers. The Myers-Briggs is, 20 to 30 bucks if you use a formalized version. Strengths is $10. Some of the other assessments have, associated costs as well. And so, trying to figure out ways to provide greater access to assessments that are paid, but then also trying to find free alternatives for students as well.
So JJ, every assessment we do is free. How about that?
Well, if you're
I
using
found a way to do every single one that I shared with you is free.
no way.
Uh-huh. So when you see the list for that character resume, I
Right.
found a way to do all of those and it's no charge to anyone.
You're gonna get an email in a second from me.
So believe it or not, the past 3 weeks or past 2 weeks, I'm having people do this thing called the Life Change Challenge. It's basically the Catalyst Challenge, Know Yourself.
Yep.
And they're literally going through all the activities every day for 15 days to create the character resume. So all of the resources are there for free. And I've got about 150 people doing it right now.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I'll just send you the links and you can literally see where they are and they're all free.
I was thinking, Bill, it's amazing how I read an article literally yesterday about how employers are pulling away from resumes in order to increase equity in hiring. And they're using much more of the personality assessments and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, how much more beneficial and awesome would it be to have that character resume as your resume that's got that stuff, that background information and, what defines a person? I think
Right.
I think we should move the world to hiring in that way.
That's my hope. That's why I'm like, let's do this together, right?
All right. And then for those of you who are still in here, Laura, Marbeth, Patricia, hey, Brother Stanley. Bill, do you know Brother Stanley?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I have to introduce you separately another time, all right? That's here, okay?
He looks like he's in a car.
Yeah. But that's somebody you got to know, okay, Bill? So I'll get in touch with him, all right?
Okay.
Looking forward to meet you, Bill. Looking forward to
Same
meet you.
here.
Okay. Hiro, forward me all of that information, man.
I got you. I got you.
All right. Okay. All right.
Again, I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna make sure that y'all have some time to talk. Okay, I think it'll be mutually beneficial. All right.
All right. Sounds good, bro.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Now, let's see here. I think that's it. Everybody else is here. Okay. I guess I should have created a system office one, huh? Well, I mean, y'all can sit right here and we can talk. So
Is everyone here in the system office? Well, I know JJ is.
Oh,
You
just
got a
JJ.
couple of Nash people on there. Jamal and Marbeth are Nash people. They just want to keep hanging out with me. They miss me.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
We do miss you, we do.
I figured that's what it was, Marbeth.
It's always good to be loved, right? So
Hi, Gracie. I want to thank you for everything.
Hi, you're welcome.
It's nice to see you.
You
Because I haven't
too.
seen you yet.
Just make sure you send me your invoice.
I
after
will
the
do
session.
it after. I will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Bill, that was good, man. I know I'm biased, but at the same time, it's good though, man. I mean, again, I'm sitting here like, and even, two of those activities I've done before, and it's just amazing to me how that changes even a little bit every time. And I'm just like, I know I said this before, but it's like, now it's this, and so It's just, I need to do a better job of keeping it like a, it's funny, like for my daughter, right? So we take a picture of her every month she turns, a month old, so we can see the progression. And I need to do the same thing for myself with these statements, right? So it's like, keep track of like, oh, this is where I was, almost like journaling, right? I used to do that all the time, and I don't do it as much as I used to. And so I need to do, because that really helped in my own self-reflection, like, oh, look what I did before, so.
I don't know if Bill, I don't know if you remember, but I told you this before. I've gone through your training a couple of times, and my husband with the, we were Golden Leaf coaches.
Gotcha.
And so, but my husband, when my kids were little, brought this home and did it with my kids. And it's really hilarious because my daughter was probably, I don't know, 8 at the time.
Oh,
and
gosh.
her life plan that she came up with is she wanted to start a charity that taught soccer to homeless people and started soccer teams for homeless people. And we somehow then stumbled across an organization that actually does that and exists. And it's like, wow. Like, we thought this was this crazy idea that my, 7-year-old had, but those were her passions. And that's what, and it was, anyway, I don't know if you remember that or not, but it was,
that's
amazing. There's a whole movie
amazing.
about it.
Wow. That's awesome. So Hira, you'll probably laugh. So at the training that I did in December,
yeah,
we had 45 people show up.
Okay.
24 were not in higher ed.
Okay.
They were literally, so I asked the question, how many of you have either left your job within the last 6 months or plan to leave within the next 6 months? 33 of the 45 were like, we just left. And they came to the training to kind of figure out what's next.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people out there wanting to answer that question. And I think the community colleges can be the setup to make that happen.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing too, right? It speaks to the universal truth of what you were saying earlier about students, I mean, yeah, people in the workforce are, some of them are disengaged and, or, under-engaged, however you want to phrase it. And I think there's a lot more that some people are willing to admit. And I'll be the first, and just to be transparent, there have been times where I was in jobs where I loved it, sort of got disengaged and then found a new passion within it and then was able to like re-engage, right? But then there are other jobs where I was like, nope, that's it, I'm done. It's like, let me start looking for something else. But, and everybody has their own journey and path, right? I know personally for me, it wasn't until I was older and having doing extensive self-reflection, self-analysis, reading different things that I was like, oh, this is my skill set and this is what I can do. And I read something else that told me something that I used to always try to figure out, like, how can I balance myself out to like really bring up my weaknesses and, use my strengths when I can, but really work on my weaknesses. And I read this thing and it was like, you should never work on your weaknesses. It said, they're your weakness. It said, you can never, if you're all balanced, you can be okay at a lot of things. You're never going to be great at anything, if you do that approach.
Your strongest weakness will never be as good as your weakest strength or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Right.
So it said, instead of focusing on that, focus on finding the people that's their strength, and then create a mutual beneficial. Yeah, create a mutual beneficial relationship with them where you're able to offer something. It creates this symbiotic. Like, okay, I can benefit you in this way, you can benefit me in this way. Let's help each other get there, right? And so, like, when you can do that. But again, I didn't figure this out until my mid-30s, right? And so I'm sitting there like, dang, what happened if like, and so I'm always on my son who, my 19-year-old son, like, look, dude, you're not supposed to be great at everything. Figure out what you like to do. And that can change over time as well too, but figure out what you like to do, what you don't like to do, and then figure out other people that like to do. If you don't like doing Excel spreadsheets and stuff, I promise you, there's a group of people out there that do. Find them, and then figure out what you can offer them in return. Don't just be using people. Figure out what you can, offer them in return. And so that's the message I'm always telling him, because I wish I would have had that message earlier as well.
Right. And I think more young people need to have that message.
Yeah.
Because they don't know. They're literally going through the system and they get to college and it's like, so what do I do now?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have no idea.
So
So,
Bill, one of the concepts I've it's a book
Bill,
someone told
can
me
you
to
hear
read and I ordered it. Have you heard of Ikigai?
Oh yeah.
Because that easily aligns with the framework that you've outlined. And I'm surprised you didn't talk about Spark. I wanted you to talk about Spark.
Well, I only had a certain amount of time.
Yeah. You only had a certain time, JJ. JJ, you trying to get okay.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Elliott, you had a question, or did you have something you want to say, Dr. Elliott?
Yeah, what, can you hear me, Harold?
Yeah.
All right, what really touched me is that you have a class about side hustle. And, you know, living in North Carolina my whole life, my parents always had side hustles. But, you know, just coming up, man, the side hustle sometimes became the main job. And I don't think we've done a good job of teaching students how to side hustle. And that really struck me. I was like, wow, ever since I've been in the world, I always know people to survive on side hustles, man. And the side hustle ended up becoming their main job. And that just kind of struck me, man. You know, how do you get that, or what response do you get from students about the side hustle?
So I'm teaching a side hustle class right now with 18 students, and 12 of the 18 have already generated income in 4 weeks.
Wow.
So, oh yeah.
I taught my kids side hustle. My daughter's in college right now. My son, he's a senior in high school. My daughter braids hair, and my son cuts hair. And they, you know, they get paid through Cash App. I was like, wow, these kids they're making money while in college. You know, they're studying business and, you know, econ and things of that nature, but they got a side hustle that I don't have to send them money.
And it's funny because I've had 3 students leave UNCG because their side hustle became so successful. They made so much money. They're like, I could always go back to school. I might not be able to do this again.
Right.
So, you know, to me, what does success mean? Is success a college degree, or is it success doing something you love and pursuing that? So that's why I think we have this thing of, and I didn't put it in this presentation, but most people say success is getting a college degree. I don't necessarily agree with that. That's one thing you can do. But if college can help you pursue the thing you really want to do, and I think the community college is a prime place where you can pursue what you really want to do. And that's why I'm glad to be in this setting.
You know, Mr. Johnson, we've had this conversation before. We're not set up that way. And what I mean by that, we don't have an undecided major. We don't have, outside of say ACA 111 and 122-ish courses set up specifically for this type of, as Christy Wall said, meology work, right? There are certain things from, I guess, a curricular or a structure standpoint that our system isn't set up to do, to aim to help students who are coming to us who don't know what direction. They just know they want to change. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, but if you notice, the numbers are going down. So if you don't change, the numbers are going to keep going down. So you get to choose, do you follow the path you're following? It's like, you know, definition of insanity, you keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So if the same thing is going on and nothing changes and the numbers keep going down, you got to look at it a different way. Because to me, if the students are saying, I need help figuring out what I want to do with my life, then maybe you don't do it as a course. Maybe you do it as a thing before they start. And maybe they have the plan before they start. So then when they get there, they have the plan and they can move forward. So why couldn't we do it as a 2 or 3 day retreat where they're with a group of 10, 15, 20 students and they're doing this together and they build that cohort? Which is why I think if you can do this with minority males or males in general, think about a group of males doing this together and they're pushing each other to move forward. And do it as a group. That is the vision that I have.
Gotcha.
So,
and I have some more comments on that, Bill, but for the sake of time, because we're already over by a minute, I appreciate you for doing this. Thank you for, again, giving folks some not only tools to use immediately, some things to think about, not only for themselves, but then also their students, also to really think about how they may restructure, reorganize departments or, strategies in their own colleges and departments and divisions. So then that way they can figure out how to better serve students. And then, I think it starts with self, right? So I think we do the self work, then it's going to manifest itself and show to our students. And they're going to be like, wait, what are you on that I want a piece of that as well, right? So you seem happy in what you're doing. I want to be happy as well, right? So, and I think going back again, how this all ties into even that second and third pillar is getting folks in the workforce that are going to stay in the workforce doing something that they're passionate about and is part of their mission or purpose, right? So again, I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. For all of you, please, that are still here, if you could fill out that post-assessment form, we greatly appreciate it. We need that information, that data, so we can, figure out where we can improve, who we need to bring back, things of that. We want your feedback, and please be candid. It's anonymous. Should take about 3 to 5 minutes. We want that information so we can figure out, if y'all really enjoy Bill, then let us know that. So then that way, if the opportunity presents itself, we can definitely bring him back. If there's something you wish he would have spoke more on, say that. He would definitely appreciate that feedback. If there's something you really didn't care for, let him know that as well. Okay. So again, appreciate all of you being here for this GPS 100. Look forward to the next one, which is going to be Tia McNair in March. March 10th is the date for that one. We'll send all this information. Gracie does an amazing job of getting this information out to folks that registered and that were here for this. You'll get the recording. You'll get the any of the resources. We'll share those links with you as well. Bill already gave you the presentation itself is on the Dream Beam website, and the resources at the very bottom. It's already there if you want to go back to it. Again, this is just something that he does, and it's something he's passionate about, right? So again, we appreciate y'all all being here. Thank y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the recording, and then I can stay on for a little bit longer for those folks that may have like a burning question they have to get out, and you definitely want to ask.